Hello, and welcome back to another video. I am sitting in a chair again because last video felt so proper sitting in a chair, so I want to do that again. I think I'm gonna scoot a little bit. Yeah, that way I can like sit up and it's not completely cutting off my head. But I wanted to first address that I quit REI. So my last week is less than a week from now. It's next Tuesday. So I don't know whenever you're seeing this. I think I'm going to try to post this tonight because I'm off my regular every single Monday. It's a very busy season and I honestly have been dropping the ball on a lot of stuff. This one being in particular, like I kind of forget that this is a thing that I do. So I was like, oh yeah, I make YouTube videos. I didn't post one on Monday. I should do that either Wednesday or Thursday. So that is a thing. So I finally quit, so very exciting. This isn't an update video, so I'm not gonna like talk about the in-depths of my life, and it's actually kind of fun announcing such big news in a video not about that. So I'll probably make a video about it maybe next week when I'm actually done and like talking post REI stuff and what my future holds and what I'm gonna try to pursue. So stay tuned for that. And then there was another thing I wanted to address. Oh yes, I have not done a faith-related video in such a long time, so I wanted to sit down today and talk about Christian things. And then last thing that I'll mention before we get into the video is that this is my painter's top. It's like very big and oversized, and I literally bought it with painting in mind, so I'm gonna try to do that tonight. And then there was another thing. I'm getting more into fashion, so I think I'm gonna do a fashion video in the future. I don't know if I'll like actually model out the different outfits or if I'll just talk about fashion. I think I might have already done a video on fashion and clothing, so maybe we'll branch out and I'll actually film like a lookbook, probably just in my backyard, but still lots of creative things and artistic things to come. So I'll talk about that a little bit more next time. But today it's already a 2-minute long intro. We know that I like to talk, so I think I'm going to talk about ministry. There is also one of my topics that I want to talk about is theological discussions, but I feel like I need to brush up on some of that stuff because that was a little bit in like the spring. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It was a while ago pretty much that I was really into the theology stuff, so I want to brush up on it before I make a video and talk about it. And then I keep pushing off my testimony. I just don't feel like it's the right time to sit down, film a video, and talk about it, but one day in the future, who knows when that will be, I will say my testimony. So let's see, ministry. So I have very interesting, I guess, experiences doing ministry. I think when you're growing up in the church, it's like kids ministry is the big thing that they try to get you to do, especially as a female, a young female. If you're like a teenager, they want you to help out with elementary kids or the nursery and stuff like that. I've never been a super big kid person. Like, I love the concept of kids, but either it's because I'm like a kid at heart, but I'm in an adult body, so I don't know how to interact with kids in like the right context, because it's not like I'm one of them, but I'm also not like a prim and proper adult. So I just find the whole situation quite awkward. So I never really enjoyed doing that when I was younger in my teen years. I did do kids games, which is like our VBS at the church I was going to, and I led a photography group. So I was like their counselor, so I would take them to the like photography workshops where someone would like teach them stuff and I would be there to like participate, and then I would take them to snack and to the games and to like the little chapel times and ask them questions afterwards. I was basically like their leader and guide for the week, and I really did enjoy that. And then I think I really found my ministry niche, I guess you could say, or like the thing I'm really passionate about, which was media and doing the media team at my church. When I was in high school, I did that my senior year, and it actually for the first time made me feel like my church was an actual home, which is kind of sad because I had been going there for a decade at that point, which is just really crazy to think about. So I did that, and that's one of the only times I've ever volunteered and served using my talents as like photographer, videographer, things like that. I don't know if that made a negative experience or if I just, throughout time, my shift perspective kind of changed. I really don't enjoy doing photography and video as like a service-based thing and volunteering, because for me it's a job and it's work, and I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. When I serve doing photography, I really resent it. It makes me very bitter, and it's just not coming from a heart of, I don't want to say like gratitude or like humbleness or like a servant heart, like someone who's selfless and just like wants to do the best for everyone. It feels like work, and then if it feels like work, then I'm mad that I'm not getting paid. So I found that I really like to serve and do ministry that's very relational, very one-on-one, working with people, building relationships, getting to know them, and asking those hard questions. That's personally where I think I thrive. So I found high school ministry towards the end of my college experience, I guess you could say. And I love that. I didn't do like 1 ounce of photo the entire time. And I'm so glad, because I'm sure they could have benefited and I could have definitely like put myself out there and just done it. But I just don't have a desire to do it when it's, because that's another thing. So for me, I like photography if it's purely for myself, meaning if I don't edit it, if I don't give it to you, if it's not great, if it's not what you want, there's no pressure and it's for fun. And then there's that side of photography, and then there is work side of photography. And they're two different mindsets, and I have two different expectations, because like obviously I'm gonna try to serve the client the best that I can for what they need. I'm working for them. I'm catering to their needs, and then I'm also getting it to them on a deadline. I'm working, I'm sending emails, I'm contacting them, and I'm putting in my time and energy and effort into it, and so I get paid for it, and that feels like a good exchange. And my own photography feels like a good exchange because it's a creative outlet and it's fun and there's no pressure. But volunteering and serving in ministry is like such a fine line to where you don't really know what they're expecting, because sometimes they're just like nonchalant about it and they're like, yeah, whatever, you know, like we're just happy you're here and like no pressure, but there's like a teeny bit of like, but we want it this time, we want it like this, you know? And so there is that like slight expectation. But there's the flip side where they want it to be a certain way, they want it to have a certain standard, they have a certain vision, and they're putting all this pressure on you, and then it's like work, and then you start resenting it because you're like, I'm not getting paid for this, and this isn't fun, and my heart feels bitter and resentful towards these people, and so I don't like feeling like that, and so I just don't serve, at least currently in my life, doing ministry with video. So, like I said, how I serve is with high school and with the youth. So I volunteered doing that with Crew for a while. I will probably make a whole video on Crew in the future, because it's been a part of my life for, you know, a significant amount of time. I've had experience as a student and a volunteer and as like a bystander who just knows people in Crew. So I'll do that in the future. That was just so fun. I loved it. I got to plan, I got to like lead Bible studies and just like be friends with teenagers and get to know them, and I just love that age group so much. It was such a formative part of my life and my faith and my growth and my journey with the Lord, and the leaders and people that poured into my life during that time was just incredible, and I loved it. So that's probably my favorite ministry. I did volunteer doing the children's worship ministry at my current church that I go to for the past year. I did it for almost a year, maybe not quite, like 9 to 10 months is how long I did it. I did about like once or twice a month, probably more once a month. And I just would assist, but it was so really fun to have that change of pace, to kind of get myself outside my comfort zone, and to serve in a place that they really needed people. And that's what I really liked, because it was something that challenged me. I got to hear like really awesome messages, like aimed towards children, yes, but it's like still the awesome truth of God and the Word, and so you're still getting that even if it's like in a more foundational bite-sized piece for kids. You get to sing fun songs and like do a little fun dance to like all the books of the Bible, and I just really enjoyed that. And then I also really like behind the scenes ministry stuff because it goes unnoticed, and I think those are like the most rewarding ministry opportunities because you can sit back and be like, wow, I helped this all come together, and like no one knows but me and the Lord and like maybe one or two other people, and I just really enjoy that. I think it's just really cool to have all those behind the scenes stuff, and it just like checks your heart of like why you're serving. So yeah, I've done like Lord's Supper and things like that, which is really nice. And then I'm gonna start greeting for my church, doing that ministry of welcoming people. I think that's super important. I've never done something like that, where you're like greeting or welcoming, but that's really vital to a ministry and a church because, you know, first time comers want to feel like this is home and want to feel like they are seen and known and cared for. And I think that is the first impression of when you walk in the door is who's saying hello to you and who's smiling back at you and welcoming you. So that's going to be exciting. I'm doing that the month of November. Let's see what else. I started doing the youth group in my church, which has been really fun to be with high schoolers again. And then I also volunteered at a pregnancy center, so not affiliated with, well, I guess Crew's not affiliated with a church, but it's more overtly Christian. Like they're going to reach high school students to share the gospel, where the ministry opportunity of working at a pregnancy center, yes, we wanted to share the gospel, but I guess their main mission was to prevent abortions. And then also secondary share the gospel is what I would assume is their mission. So that was a little bit different, but it was also very relational. And yeah, what I enjoyed about it for as long as I did is I was going in to serve a specific purpose that is something I'm passionate about, and it's not my job, if that makes sense. And then there was an occasion where I did do photography, and it just reminded me again of why I don't like to mix the two. And I know that's really weird and not that many people understand it. They think like, oh, if you're really talented at this and good at it and it's a skill that God has given you, then like you should use it in ministry and serving and volunteering. And for me personally, I just disagree. It's not worth my heart and the stress. And like maybe that's something that God will work on with me later in the future. Maybe he will work on that part of that needs to like be challenged in that area, but for right now it's not a ministry that I love to do. So yeah, I've been talking for 13 minutes, just honestly nothing helpful except my own experience. So we're gonna end with some helpful notes on ministry and just things that I've learned. I guess you could take away some advice from my story, but I want to give you some like little nuggets to chew on. So one thing that I would say is like don't burn yourself out. It's not what you do. Like when you're a Christian, God doesn't care about all the things that you can do for him and like all the little check boxes and your like Christian resume of service. God doesn't care about that. He cares about your heart and who you are and how much you love, serve, and obey him. And that can look a variety of different ways. Maybe you're in a season where you're a new mom and your main ministry is just taking care of your child. So maybe you can't serve in the church to the same capacity or at all even like you could in the past, because you have a new ministry. And so I think what I want to leave you with is that we all have ministries in our lives, and to look around and see where God has placed us and see that as our ministry, see that as a battlefield or battleground, whatever you want to call it, is like people that we need to serve, love, and care for. So that may be a job that you're working at. Maybe God has placed you in a specific job, and maybe it's not a job that you like particularly love. Maybe it's like retail or an office job, but maybe he placed you there because it's a ministry opportunity to, you know, talk to these people and impact these people for the kingdom. And, you know, just looking at it that way. Same if you're a wife or a mom. That it could be your ministry, or maybe you don't have those things, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's your parents, maybe it's your friends, maybe it is your church, maybe that is the ministry that God wants you to step into. But I think the biggest thing is to ask the Lord where he wants you. I was just listening to this, so I want to pass this on. This is not from me. I heard it once from my therapist, and then also from this guy today, and Michael Jr. He's a comedian. He was like giving a talk about comedy and his life and ministry and Christian stuff. And he said, obedience is better than sacrifice, meaning that giving just to give is not always the best thing for you to do, because maybe God doesn't want you to give. Sometimes we can feel very self-righteous and feel really awesome about ourselves if we are just giving and sacrificing and like being so selfless to the point that we can like boost up our ego of like, look at all the things that we're doing, whether that's taking people in or giving money away or serving in different areas. But I think it's really important to really ask the Lord if you should be stepping into that, because one point he brought up is maybe you have 2 water bottles to give to the homeless man, but the person behind you only has 1 water bottle and they're really stingy and have a bitter heart and don't want to give that water bottle. And so maybe God is working on their heart to give that water bottle and giving them that opportunity. And if you did that, then they would just think, oh, I don't have to. And it would just kind of perpetuate them. So I know it's kind of like a weird thing, because then it's like, well, what if that person doesn't? Then like that homeless man just get a water bottle. Well, I ultimately think that God's going to take care of the homeless man. And someone will give him a water bottle. Maybe it's the 3rd person who does. But I think it's really important to ask God when you are presented with a problem or a situation where you can take action and serve and do ministry and be generous, to really ask the Lord, is this actually something that you want me to step into? Or is this just something that I want to do because it's the right thing to do, or because I'll feel good about myself that I've done X, Y, and Z? And really checking our own heart with that. And I think that's really great advice. And just to reiterate, like my therapist also said that, which was really great. And for her circumstance, she would always like take people in, like people that she knew in her life, whether that was like relatives or I don't know, other people, to like live in her home for short periods of time. But as she got older, she really realized that she was just doing that hastily without asking the Lord if that's something that she should have done, not just but ultimately for their betterment, because sometimes taking someone in could be enabling or whatever reason, or maybe God wants them to go somewhere else or to be challenged and face certain trials in different ways. So it's not our job to always run in and fix things, but to really take account what we should actually do. And I think that applies to ministry really well, because if we are asking the Lord what ministry opportunities we should actually step into, then I think that will ultimately check our hearts, check our motives, and ultimately affect the outcome. Maybe we won't get burnt out as easily. And I think that also goes with learning to step away, because maybe God brings you into a ministry for a period of time, and then he wants you to step out of it to make room for someone else, or to make room for yourself to do something else. Kind of maybe both ways. So that is my talk on ministry things. I don't know if it was helpful, but it is what it is. I didn't really plan a lot going into it, so I hope that God spoke through me and touched you in some way, shape, or form. Excuse me. And it's a good challenge for me as well, moving forward, to watch this video in the future and remind myself on where I'm at with it. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'm glad to be filming this video today. I'm gonna try to go paint after this before it's dark, hopefully, and I will see you next week with an update / artistic things video, because I really want to talk about that. So I'm excited. Have a great one, and I'll see you soon. Bye. P.S. It's November. How the heck? I'm like almost to a whole year of doing YouTube. So woohoo to that!